timing for me, having just had a sudden opening in my employment status. I'm now doing 2 days a week, what I love the most, and the other 3 days a week I'm trying desperately to keep up with the rest of the volunteer activities and a bit of relief teaching on the side. So what I'm here to talk to you today about is partnerships, but specifically I was asked to share what I think about the benefits of connecting with schools for a Wetlands Centre. And I actually said, well, that's a no-brainer. Do you really need me to talk about that? These people probably know. So I've kind of shaped it more for partnerships, and I just want to really emphasise, as the last presentation, that connecting with schools, connecting with each other is a win-win and a win for wetlands. So as you know, do I just touch it? No, do that one. Magic. As you know, we are a Wetlands Centre, a community-based not-for-profit organisation. This place was established in 1993 with funding from the City of Cockburn, thank goodness, and it's still being supported by the City of Cockburn. So that longevity is really down to the strong community connection, and we couldn't be more grateful. It's been upgraded recently, as you've experienced in the last few days, with new facilities due to more funding from the City of Cockburn, Lottery West, and also the state NRM grants. So we're really, really happy, really lucky to be looking forwards. The Wetlands Centre vision, which I think is important to state now, is for wetlands to be increasingly appreciated and recognised by local and statewide community for their scientific, aesthetic, historic, social and spiritual values. All of those things we have talked about over the last 2 days. They're all part of the same picture, connecting us. Importantly for me and my background, effective education programs that link with school and community are essential to achieve this vision. We can't achieve this vision unless we connect. So, the main job that I've been working on since I started in April is a review of the primary school programs. We reviewed it by collecting all the materials together, trying to find all of the resources, both those mentally filed in Denise's head and also the physical resources and kits that are around the place. We've catalogued as much as we can in the short time we've been working on this. It's still in progress, but we've done most of the topic areas. The programs delivered were observed. So observed, interviewed participants, took notes on level of engagement, both in the school holidays and during school excursions, for levels of participant engagement and what the outcomes were being exhibited, and then are they being carried forward later. The costs involved were also reviewed and examined in detail, and then we've conducted a detailed SWOT analysis looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. That is still in process, and the report will be complete in April. But importantly, while the review requested was really sort of a document and, paper-based plus observation, the sort of thing that's designed to deliver a report and with an underline, actually it provided an excellent opportunity for this centre to consider the value of the existing wetlands education. Some things are not broken, you don't need to fix them. But could we better articulate who benefits, how the education programs can be improved in the future, and what we need to do that? The centre actually, from the review, the data I've collected and that we can demonstrate is that we offer a really broad range of environmental education and training programs to schools, community and wetland professionals. So not just schools, not just primary schools, but all sectors of formal education, plus a massive range of informal education and outside volunteer-style training. The education programs themselves were really dramatically enhanced by the involvement of staff and the team of enthusiastic volunteers. Now, you guys mostly work with volunteers or are volunteers, so you know just how valuable our volunteers are. The programs here wouldn't run, and if we didn't have the land care program, if we didn't have the nursery, if we didn't have the people on the ground, because they are enthusiastic and passionate about caring for and maintaining the wetland and surrounding bushland areas. So, press the right button, Catherine. Oop. The excursions themselves, focusing now just on the primary school programs, include a presentation, so bring them in here, get them to sit down, make sure they've all been to the toilet, get them to sit on the nice frog cushions and just talk to them and get them to tell us what they know. Then there's going to be a curriculum-linked hands-on learning activity of some sort for every group that comes. They all do a hands-on activity, which usually takes most of the time. But the activity itself depends on what topic the school or the teacher or the people involved have chosen, because there is a huge range. And they always include a guided walk from the centre through the bushland to Bibra Lake and back. The walk itself, the length depends on the group. So if we've got a group of kindy or maybe early childhood childcare group, we do a short walk. It's only 300 metres if we walk directly to the Namakulak boardwalk, which means family place in Yunga, to be honest. So we can go that way and still stop at the bat nesting boxes and the bird nesting boxes and notice the change in the vegetation complexes, just even in 300 metres between the upland and the wetland area. Then when we get to the lake, we can do bird watching or listen for frog calls, sample the macroinvertebrates, look what's in the water. From the Namakulak boardwalk bird hide, you can actually see the turtle nest cages on the other side of the wetland. So there's so much opportunity for dialogue just based on what the participants are seeing, or you can point out and they go, what? Why are there cages over there? There's all of these opportunities for experiential, intuitive type learning. So the content itself, as I've mentioned, is potentially inexhaustible, really. There's at least 28 different topics or subjects in the materials that are being delivered or have been delivered in the recent past. So that's past programs, and they're the only ones that are included here. There's 28 that were being delivered sporadically, often on a needs basis. Someone said, oh, can you do something on blah? And Denise would research it and magically deliver it. Amazing. She is just a living, amazing resource. But things ranging from aquatic macroinvertebrates right through to sustainable living, waste and litter, water quality. And then, of course, the high school groups are doing things like vegetation sampling and actual fieldwork techniques, which follows nicely into further study or volunteering and work with bush care groups and land care groups. So the important thing about what we found in the review was even at the primary school level, there's so much variety, so much choice. The other thing that's being done really well is that all the learning opportunities are embedded in Noongar language and acknowledgement of culture. And now, to improve that further, we've of course got Auntie Marie Taylor, who's our elder in residence, and she's helping us to further develop that, to embed that, and we're employing a community engagement support officer, Tanisha, who's been absolutely fabulous in helping to connect with the other local Noongar families, find out, because it's not always appropriate or respectful for me to say, oh, who's allowed to do this? But, you know, she has capacity to do that and to navigate some of those more challenging grounds. The important message, not really trying to shoot you with a microphone. The important message is that wetlands education can achieve multi-layer outcomes through delivery of these school excursion style programs. And it's doing this through, firstly, delivering kindergarten to year 12 curriculum-linked student learning programs, which are connected with students, teachers and parents. It provides a range of community engagement opportunities and events, connecting with families, community groups and stakeholders. And it also facilitates this ongoing connection with volunteers, tertiary students and passionate community members who are actually working on site. But all of these things are intertwined. So embedding key messages that foster positive wetland care behaviour into all of the above is what actually achieves the total outcome. But we can do it more strategically. And what you want to know is, can I prove there are benefits for each of these groups? Yes, because the research has been done. I didn't have to do it. Benefits for students. The learning is connected to nature. One of the things that's been coming out for several years, in fact, maybe decades now, is the need for young people to regain a connection with nature. We already know it's great for adult mental health. It's critical for youth in their development. The education, the learning that they do, just like the stuff Barb's doing and all the other programs that we've heard about today, is real and engaging. You get muddy. It's locally relevant. It's going to be relevant to them in a week, and they're still going to remember it when they walk past walking the dog in a year. It's linked to future career paths. I think, quite importantly, as a teacher, the students don't realise they're learning. There's a certain element of satisfaction where you're teaching them and they think they're having a day out of the classroom, and actually they're learning stuff. And of course, they're making connections with community and local natural resources. The benefits for teachers, also a no-brainer. Teachers are incredibly busy. They have huge reporting requirements. They've also got to manage, basically babysit 33 kids for a whole day in primary school, several lots of 33 kids for an hour at a time in high school. But doing these programs means we're providing them with unique opportunities for wetlands-focused excursions tailored to suit the age of their students. We're doing some of the legwork, linking it to the curriculum, making sure the science is sound and current, relevant to what's happening right now. We're making sure that it's curriculum linked and experiential and interacting with the real environment. So the teachers actually get to see us modelling that. And then there's a good chance, because they generally say, oh, could we do this on our school ground? Yes. So modelling the behaviour is helping to develop more environmental educators. We've also got these great new facilities, as you've seen, so we're totally set up for large groups, and it's only 1.5 kilometres to the playground, so a teacher who can't afford to pay for a full day excursion can do a half day excursion. They've done some great learning, and they get the afternoon off and the kids can play, let off some steam. You know, there's lots of advantages. Our location is absolutely perfect. The benefits for the community is that programs like these are building social capital. People come back. Students come on excursions. You have to have at least one adult for every 6 students at an excursion. So you've usually got 5 to 10 adults in attendance. In the last year, I have observed that after every school excursion, the next school holiday program, there's suddenly a whole lot of new people bringing kids. And then they come back. The last 2 school holidays in particular, I had a lot of repeat offenders. Of course, they're not offending anyone. It's great. But we're actually thinking we're going to have to offer each of these programs more frequently, more often over a school holiday period, because we can't fit them in. They're booking out. And that's just because the exposure at the school level is leaching into the community in a really positive way. Volunteering programs are fulfilling many needs. Hours for different community service contracts, volunteering activities for, what's it called, the other transcript, not the academic one, you know, the real life. Yeah. Environmental education can achieve urban, social, ecological resilience, which is well documented. And then I'm probably running out of time. But as well as that, we've got these opportunities to connect further with the other local industries. The Buoy Cultural Program, which Auntie Marie's talked about, run by Yellowketch Mort, that can be run through here and other organisations. So we are really developing those connections. And of course, connecting with citizen science. So we have a really fantastic opportunity, all of us in this room, to be custodians, to be sharing what we're doing at the citizen science level, even if we are not ourselves doing it. So we can actually promote, encourage use of and participation in citizen science programs like Frog ID, like Turtle Watch, and now Turtle Sat. Those of you who came to Jane's session have hopefully got the app downloaded and are going to learn how to use it pretty soon. These things have flow back into the community, into schools and into education, and of course into research. Come on. And lastly, benefits for wetlands. We talked about the fact this morning that wetlands should have, and actually do have, rights, but maybe humans aren't very good at recognising them, acknowledging them and building them into our daily practice. But these sorts of education programs do have the opportunity to increase people's acceptance and responsibility and custodianship of the rights of our wetlands. We know from research that lasting conservation outcomes are shown to be associated with outdoor science education and environmental education programs. We know that culturally relevant experiential education increases environmental knowledge, positive attitudes, and most importantly, willingness to act. It's all very well knowing something, but if you're not willing to do something, that knowledge isn't going to help too much. Inclusion of school community environmental partnerships advances urban sociological, social ecological resilience. We need to be resilient. We need to learn to be resilient, and we need to learn how to grow our resilience as a whole, not as humans separate from the environment, but as one united ecology. And of course, positive attitudes of communities towards wetland conservation have proven to increase the likelihood of sustainable utilisation of wetlands. And we've got our example right here. Community valuing of this wetland saved it, because otherwise we'd have a 6-lane highway right there. So that's pretty much my point. I'm out of time, so I just want to say we're still asking questions. What we need to know is how can wetlands education be better framed in the future? We know that we can engage people, but engaging more people partly depends on increasing awareness of our existence and what benefits are on offer. Why should people come and do this? Why would they want to? We're not great at self-marketing because we're all too busy doing the work. So, you know, I'm not a marketer, I'm not a social media expert. How can we do this better? What is needed by schools to make it easier for them to attend excursions? We know that transport costs are a significant barrier, and we know that costs altogether are a barrier. How do we keep the charges low while still covering delivery costs? Because we need to pay staff, we need to value our volunteers and pay students, trainees, all of those sorts of things to actually ensure we can run these things consistently. High school schedules are a big barrier because they have 50-minute classes. If a high school teacher wants to take students on an excursion, they have to negotiate with every other teacher in that student's program. That's at least 4 or 5 others in a day, and that's a problem. And of course, what do other stakeholders want and need? You know, we'd love to be collaborating more, building our capacity between all of the wetland centres, all the environmental education centres, cross-promoting, co-promoting, sharing what we do in order to promote what each other does. We don't need to compete. We need to grow together in order to connect with our fullest potential. We can and are delivering multi-layer outcomes through all of these sorts of partnerships. But there are still these questions. How can we build our capacity, cross-promote, grow, not compete? We all want to achieve the same thing, and together we have an amazing reach and an almost unlimited potential to connect our communities to nature. Thanks.